A detailed embossing folder combined with layering stencils is the core of what brings this design for this card project together. A little creative cropping doesn't hurt, and a clean and minimal greeting. To see this card project come together, stick around. It's coming up next. Here's a look at the products I'm using today. This is the Serene Branches coordinated stencils that go with the Branches embossing folder. This embossing folder does come with a die. I'm not going to be using that today, but it's kind of cool that you can cut out and then emboss one of the branches. So these are what we are starting with today. Now I'm going to be using the corner of my stamp wheel, even though there are etchings on this stencil to help you line everything up perfectly. If you just slap down your paper and then put your stencil in the corner, it just takes all the thinking out. And I don't know about you, I like to blend and not think too hard because I love crafting and it's relaxing. So I'm starting with Lucky Clover. Now this is a color that I don't think to use very often, and I think that's going to change starting today because it is a beautiful green. And I am holding my brush back on the handle a bit as opposed to on the head so that I can give this first layer just a very light wash of this pretty green. So if you ever want a little bit lighter, just hold your brush back further on the handle. Now I'm bringing in grass green to add just a little bit of depth to each leaf. And honestly, I wasn't really thinking like, where's the branch? I mean, I think I got most of them right. I think I blended the darkness in a couple leaves that was possibly on the wrong side, but you know what? It's just going to make it all look like nature. Because nature isn't perfectly blended, you know? Not last time I checked. Anyway, I love the way this is going to have that added depth by having it darker on a little less than half of the leaf. And then I'm sweeping over everything to kind of blend it all together and release. So pretty. Now here's the part about the stencil that I love. You just jam it into that corner. You can do this also with a MISTI, anything that has a raised ledge that you can tape your paper and stencil down to. And here I'm masking off the berries because there are 2 sets of berries on this layer, and I'm going to repeat the exact same blend. One of the things that's nice about a simple layering stencil set is they're great for beginners. There's only 3 layers. There is nothing too complicated, right? There's no fussy little areas of the stencil that you might accidentally slip your bristles under. It's really basic, and I think what results is just so pretty for so many different types of cards. So now that that's done, I can add the berries. And I decided to use clean Post-it tape. And actually, I'm just going to bust out some Post-it notes because sometimes I hate using up all my Post-it tape. I don't know, Post-it notes seem a little more cost effective, but I didn't want any green coming off of the tape into the pink. So here I'm using both light carnation and medium carnation. This is a great, there's also a dark as well. But these two are so pretty together. And then I will mask off that top berry so that each berry can be a little darker at the base, just for a little dimension. I think that's really pretty. And I'll repeat down here at the bottom, coming in with the light carnation, and then adding just that little bit of depth with the medium carnation. Really easy to add these colors, and there we go. All right. It's coming together. It's so pretty. Now the branch, and again, just pop it into that corner and make sure it's lined up and you're good to go. Now, as I said, there are etchings on the stencil that help you to see where the leaves are to make sure you're in the right place from layer to layer. But if you're lazy like me, you can just pop something into a corner and blend. Here I'm using Craft. I thought it would be nice because this is going to dry back and be a softer brown. And I think that's going to go nicely with the leaves. Isn't that pretty? I mean, it's pretty by itself. So the die will cut out that branch right there. And I'm not going to use it today, but I've got my machine set up. And Gina has the instructions right here. So I'm setting my machine to be die cut with a setting of 3. So there's positive settings and negative settings. And you want to make sure that you are placing your panel in where the embossing is pushing up. So the raised side is going to be on the bottom. Now, I'm never great at this, so I took my time, got it as lined up as I could, but I did not have this lined up perfectly. It's not really going to matter, as you will see, because as this runs through, and there's a nice amount of tension, but not too much, when I open it up, it transfers the details and the puffiness, right? It puffs up the cardstock and gives me this beautiful panel. Now, I was a little off on the bottom, so I thought, let's do a quick experiment. I ran this panel through just plain, and this is all Gina's heavy base weight cardstock, just so you know. And I repeated the same color scheme. I just wanted to see how it all lines up. And one of the things I realize is sometimes when you've embossed something, it stretches the fibers, contracts the fibers, it pulls things up, and you may have to actually move your stencil because you can see I'm a little off there too. But honestly, I think this looks great. So I just wanted to compare apples to apples. I'm happy with my apple. That makes sense. But now time to trim. And because of the embossing, you don't want to use a die to trim your panel. Now, I rely very heavily on dies when I'm cutting panels because I don't want to think about the measurements. So this for me was an exercise in, okay, we're going to turn it this way, we're going to turn it that way, because I wanted to come up with my basic crop. Then, time to spatter. I am on a spatter kick, and the beautiful thing is, it's easy, right? You smush your ink down, you add a little water, you tap it on. It can be messy. It does not have to be perfect. And the more I do this, the better I get at it. But also, I just love the look of layering in the texture of spatter. And here I'm going with both my darker green and my darker pink, just tapping it on with a little brush, and there we go. Now for the greeting in Gina's kit, and by the way, when she releases kits, the following month you can get all of these products individually. So if you're watching this at a later date, I always try to update my supply lists to reflect that, but this is part of the current kit. And I thought these two greetings would work perfectly with this stenciled and embossed design. So I always do a couple just because I might mess up. And in fact, today I did mess up. I'm using Gina K Gold powder, but when I sprinkled it on, I realized, yeah, you missed part. And that was my error in stamping. So the T isn't quite there, but I figured, there you go. The decision has been made for me. I had a backup. Now I will be limited to sending love and gratitude. But I think it's going to look really good. Both are about the same shape, so I think either will be great. All shiny and pretty. I cut out the greeting using the coordinating dies, which are part of the current kit. And I cut two just for a little more heft for my greeting. And it's a little greeting, right? I think this is really, really sweet. And I love a small greeting. But as I was placing this, I thought, you know what? I think I want it to be smaller. So I brought in my cropping panels. This is a tool that I created for use in my space. It is a free download for you. You just need dies that cut the varying sizes. And you can print these and make some yourself out of any color of cardstock. I chose craft because it's very neutral. But it kind of helps me to see what is the best crop for my design. And here I decided 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 would be good. I put that little mark in there just so I could know where to start cutting. And now comes the fussy part of moving the panel around and getting that crop just right, because it's going to be the 3 1/4. And I was trying to there was like a little bit of green up top, and I wanted that to be gone. This takes time, and this is why I really do love dies. But when you start out with something like this, you kind of want to have the full panel so you can see what you're working with, and then you decide via using the cropping panels, or even if you just have dies, layer dies, you can just put the die over the top and visualize, right? But because of the embossing, you don't want to run this through a die cut machine because it will flatten some of that beautiful texture. But that was the size. I chose Innocent Pink for my note card. I could have gone darker, but again, I wanted this to feel a little softer, a little more ethereal, and I think that is very pretty. It softens the pinks as well. And I couldn't stop myself because of the gold embossing. I took a little bit of this Distress Spritz. It's really nice for tapping on some shine. And so I've got 3 different types of spatter here. And I kind of went to town a little bit more off camera because I didn't think it was showing up, but you'll see in just a second. Look at how pretty that is with all that shine. It really catches in the light. Now I've got foam tape and I will pop it down and look at that nice wide margin. Oh, it's like a little framed picture. I love that. I'll pop my greeting down using foam squares, but I also am going to pop on a little bit of Connect glue because I like to have a little bit of slide and float time. And that placement, purposefully offset, I can't say that word, brought in the ruler, and there we go. I placed down some of these pearls. This is from a mix that Gina has that has 3 different colors. So it has gold, black, and boop, silver, which is really nice to have all 3 in different sizes. And we'll just pop this down and finish out the design. Yeah, that goes there. And boop. That's the finished card. Let's do a quick design review. So I'll bring in my little overlay here, and now I'm speaking live as I do this because it's very hard to do this in a voiceover. But let's take a look at the elements. Of course, this overlay grid I printed on a piece of acetate with my inkjet printer and put cardstock on the top and the bottom. This is a free download available on my website, so if you want to make one, you can. I have a link in the description. Just look for where it says Rule of Thirds Grid. All right, so it's just dividing our area into 9 quadrants, and this is for a US A2 4¼ by 5½. And as you see here, our placement of the greeting is pretty much not over the center of the intersecting point, but it's pretty close. So I have all of this here and it's sandwiched right about here. So that's a nice purposeful offset, right? It's not like hovering sort of in the middle. It's definitely off to the side. The background design itself is kind of one big image. It's asymmetrical in that you can't exactly cut it down the middle and it's not a mirror image, but we do have in opposing corners the berries, right? And of course, then the leaf design in the background. We have, let's see, a little bit of repetition with color. Of course, all the leaves are green, but our berries are pink and the note card is also pink. I figured that softest area of light carnation was really nice with this cardstock. I could have gone with something bolder like Dusty Rose, but it energized it and I wanted it to come down a little in tone. We have our repeating gold elements with our shiny Sending Love and Gratitude. We have our 5 repeating little beads, pearls, I forgot what they were called. And then if you look in here at that, there's the shine. Isn't that pretty? So we've got basically 3 layers of spatter. And I don't know why. I'm in my spatter era. And I'm not sorry. So there's more gold picking up there. And of course, we do have the texture. And even though I was a little off up here, you don't even notice it. I mean, I basically flipped the design, popped this down here, and you kind of should always keep in mind, even if your folder is facing one way, you can turn it, you can flip it until you get the look that you are going for. And that finishes the card project for today. You can find links to all of the products I used in today's video in the YouTube description box. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, I'd love to have you, so please hit that subscribe button and be sure to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss the next time I post. Here's another Gina K Designs card project that you might be interested in checking out, and I will see you in that video. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.